As you've been saying, as I will now say, waiting for this for an entire split. It could not have come soon enough. Our final week, our final series between G2 and KC. Our final series at Paris now begins. Jason Maokai straight away off the board. Kana knows, and G2 knows they cannot give this top laner much room to breathe. I guess that's why the Rumble also follows suit.
Yeah, and there goes the Azir that we were just mentioning as well. So feels like we're kind of getting some of those lead-ins from that previous time these two teams faced off against each other. But still, I'm looking at Faris, looking at a lot of these picks that are still very, very strong in this patch. We'll have to see if that is going to be the first port of call here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Talia gone as well, as we're talking about last series. That Talia, such a good port of call for the LEC right now. Remember, patch 25.9 if you need a refresher. We've had all kinds of wild things. Even the Annie come through last game. These two teams are very diverse in their picks. So what is going to be the priority here? With, as you said, Varus just seems to be the easy lock.
Yeah, Varus is just too strong. He works both on hit and poke, so he can be very flexible in his whatever draft he goes into. On the opposite side here, I think you end up taking the buy here. Going through, that has kind of been the big pick that KC played for yesterday. It's been something that we've seen a lot from Yike as well, and it looks like that is going to be the answer.
Funny, in the past, I did not like Yike's vibe, but he's obviously been putting in the reps.
Insane.
It was insane, wasn't it? It's not often that I've said that about him, but now he's most played champion at 7 games, counting this. Nico as well, locked in here for Targmas. A fun fact, this is the first Nico game for Targmas.
Yeah, very early rotation on it as well. Traditionally, you kind of wait to see, oh, there's going to be like a Leon or something that will lock it into. But it means that you do have an answer here if you want to, with going for something like a Karma or something a bit more poke orientated for G2 in that bottom side if you would like to. But Lebrov has kind of been the Rel guy, so kind of opting in towards that to say, hey, if you go Rel, you're not going to have a great time into this Nico.
First Nico of the split, by the way, just to give context in, is Zin's out, locks in. The question is, do we want a pairing now, Dagda? Do we want that Rel you were talking about for an early support to match the Nico before it gets banned away?
Well, there's two options. You could either take something like your mid laner here and just say, hey, we're going to set up for caps nice and early. Okay, they're going to go for the support, because you now have to match, I feel like, your AD carry in this position, and that's what they're going to go do here. So already, I wasn't sure if it's going to be Kai'Sa or Ezreal. I think both of them could have slotted in here, but quite dive orientated, a lot of frontline burst coming through from this KC side as well. So this is going to be a bloody matchup, to say the least. Also,
that Kai'Sa pickup takes away Han Summer, most played champion alongside the Varus too. So with Fearless, this is a nice take from KC in its own right. Let's go to the second ban, see what we're up against. No mid laners, no top laners yet locked in. Victor straight away off the board, which is good. We don't want any of these wishy-washy mid laners, these, you know, like vegetarian mids like the Victor. We want to send it, Dagda. We want the reward of watching KC versus G2 in a proper sense between Caps and Vladdy.
Well, the thing is, we've kind of seen Caps go towards a lot of these picks that are much more range oriented, right? Like, you think of the Hui being his most played up there with the Talia for 4 games, the Oriannas, the Victors, the Azirs, even the Jace. A lot of these have been long range damage dealers for Caps, and he has had some games like the Akali and the Yone, but we'll have to see if he's going to try and go back towards that shorter range. But it has certainly felt like they tried to have him as this long-range poke tool in a lot of their fights, or a lot of the scaling opportunity when they've had the most success with it.
Caps hasn't had the best split, but he started rounding out the end quite nicely. That Hui obviously getting respect that you were talking about, so a double of those range mages, and in all seriousness too, he is pinching the pool quite a bit with Talia already down. Well, as we already saw at the start, Azir down, with Yone down as well. That makes 5 mid laners banned away from these two blokes.
Yeah, I think the Ambessa ban, though, speaks to me that they're probably looking for an R on G2 side. To just say, hey, look, this is more than likely going to be our blind pick. Jace is already gone. Now the Ambessa, there's little that can really answer into that Ambessa in the top side, especially with Rumble gone. The Ambessa and Rumble gone, then R should be fine. So I'm curious if Kana just tries to take it away here, or if they just hold on to that R5 pick.
You get your answer now. 10 seconds to lock. Ari already taken away, and that makes number 6. Silas is locked in. He's got that EU Zekarin in for another game.
So I'm curious if this is actually the flex pick, because Nar doesn't work well into the Silas. We've seen that matchup from Nak already, so I kind of like this, saying, hey, look, if you take the Nar, we can send the Silas top. We still get that counter pick. So keeping that flexibility open is pretty cool from KC. We'll have to see if it pans out.
Well, Jax maybe just takes it away from the top lane. We can echo more on that matchup if we get to see it, but Jax locked in. Galio, a neutralizer, and an all-in. Now you have yourself a better setup as well, Dagda. The Gnar for themselves will show that this Silas is going back to our very own mid laner.
Yeah, but I'm happy if I end up with Silas into Galio, right? Like, yes, the taunt and stuff could be a bit frustrating, but it gives me an easy matchup in the mid lane. I get access to that Galio ult as well to neutralize a lot of the power that he brings towards team fights. So I'm relatively happy if I'm Vladdy going into this matchup. And then, as you say, the Gnar on the opposite side, Jax will outscale the Gnar as this game goes on, but at least in the early stages, Kana should be comfortable to try and get some control against Broken.
And while you're mentioning Silas ult usage, let's not forget it goes to Chains of Corruption, Depth Charge. I see also a Zinzao ult, which may as well make it partially invulnerable. I feel like the ult usage this game is going to be so good for Vladdy in mid lane, while Caps is obviously going to be on more of a utility role. He's going to have to be protecting Hans Sama, following up this setup of a dive.
I do think, though, the Galio is actually very good into the rest of the composition that is coming through from KC, because everything is short range. Like, everything wants to jump in on top of you, and that's where you can get a lot of that value from this Galio. Also, like, Kai'Sa kind of has to be careful about when she goes in with that killer instinct, because if you end up getting taunted or something by this Galio, you just end up absolutely miserable. So I think it very much G2 kind of playing to absorb the punch coming through from KC, where it's KC just trying to throw everything in the kitchen sink to just burst out immediately G2 in a fight.
Well, the only thing I'll say to add on to that is I'm just sad that this is only a 3-game series. Our grand final remake from Winter. Our top teams already locked into the top 4. KC to lock in first. G2 to lock in a semblance of hope in the top 4 that G2 are in fact back. This best of 3 live in Paris in our final series there will begin now.
And a reminder that that top 4 does send you to the upper bracket as well. So very, very nice to try and sit in towards that top 4, but we'll have to see if G2 can find themselves in there. It's not very often. Actually, if at all, we've seen G2 end up outside of the top 4. I don't think, they've never ended up outside of the top 4.
That's right,
so
they've never.
It'd be interesting if this would be the first time in their history G2 still make playoffs, but only by the skin of their teeth, whereas for KC, at 8-1 potential scoreline, a statement coming off the back of first stand.
Fnatic sitting behind them 7-2. They could finish over Fnatic. And KC would have first pick of the litter as well as they go into playoffs. In front of their home crowd, they're going to try. Now, we already mentioned, obviously 6 is an important point. Vladdy getting ults to steal, ability to roam, play off the dive. Nico very good at that. I feel like KC, this looks like Vitality from last game. A lot of go buttons, Dagda, that I'm seeing, the ability to dive off repeat, the ability to isolate one target and nuke.
Yeah, I think for KC, early skirmishes could be a point that they try and focus on. And that's what we saw a lot from them in Game 1 and a certain amount in Game 3 yesterday. But Kana already taken a little bit of hurt from Broken Blade. It's kind of the power of Counter-Strike. It makes it very difficult, regardless of the matchup, to actually get that push against the Jaxes. He actually gets more damage, essentially, off the creeps and off you hitting him. So ends up pushing that way very, very effectively.
I mean, Kana already, it just reminds me of him going up against Broken Blade in the finals as well. Quick reminder, as Skumon's coming in, we're going to hold that point for a little bit later. Targamas has nowhere to go. Dredge line in is so easy. First blood to G2, and the crowd goes very mild.
Great play from Skumon, though, reading, hey, I'm just going to do my red and immediately go into bot side. I wasn't sure if they were trying to look for someone else's Broken Blade.
And this is why I wanted to highlight top lane, getting very, very low. Kana in the Winter Finals, it was like an absolute one-sided stomp where we didn't get to see Broken Blade fight for attention. Quick reminder as Kana gets him low.
Yeah, I think Kana's been doing a fantastic job of just kind of absorbing pressure and then also finding his moments where he can punish. Oftentimes you'll see Yike sitting in a brush up on top side just to ensure he can shove in the wave or trade a lot more aggressively and find those wins. I think that has kind of been the success of Kana, is that kind of silent support from Yike, because Broken Blade trying to see if he can get that little bit more damage here as well. But yeah, I think this is where, again, you'll probably see that kind of support. Try and help out Kana there from Yike as he goes for his reset. But I think now with his bot lane already very far behind, Yike's going to have his work cut out from the fact that you already have that early kill going across. Means you basically get a tier for free. You can see that early longsword coming through as well, and just gives a lot of control to Hans Sama and Lebrov and looking for an all-in.
And as we get a closer look towards bot in a moment, I'm sure, I think Lebrov helped hold the wave a little bit, so it's not like many minions were lost. In fact, as you said, you know, that tier 3 in lane, the scaling already started, the power of the Varus lane too, a reason why this champ is constantly banned away. Weakness is quite low as Scuttle for Scuttle's traded.
Yeah, but he's about to come in mid. He snuck in over the wall.
No, it's got abduct though. There's going to be a shielded ram. Caps now knows. Flash away, waiting. Headbutt. Yike gets interrupted on the Vault Breaker. He doesn't have to flash. Really smartly done from Caps with the last of his mana bar.
Yeah, Yike trying to hold on to the Vault Breaker in case Caps flashed, but Caps just ends up hitting him with the knock up and is like, great, now that CC or that cooldown's gone, I can just walk on out of here.
Cap's going to be able to stay in lane as well, so unfortunate there from Yike that his old mid laner gets in his way. Minions cleared out, Caps gets a good time to base.
So nicely done. And it doesn't nullify a lot of that pressure as well. Vladdy would have loved to have that early kill, especially when you tend to max Kingslayer in these melee matchups.
Yeah.
If you can get that early lead, it makes it very difficult for Caps to be able to trade effectively against you as you just have more AP, more healing coming through, but should be fine now.
Hollow Radiant's going to come in soon enough as well, by the way. If we're speaking about how Caps trades and what he has to offer in this lane. Bammy Cinder already picked up for a bit of wave clear, and we start approaching level 6. Half the way there for mid laners. Hot lane is still quite low. I mean, Hans Summer has just ticked over 4. But as we're setting about, as Dread Line connects, good little root caller coming from Targamas in the meantime. Hans continues winning in this 2v2 as you expect.
There's a nice attempt by LeBron, basically hoping, hey, Hans Sama kills the minion and I can land that hook as soon as the minion dies. He got him towards Targamas, but just wasn't quite able to get it. But yeah, I think now at this stage, you can kind of see where Yike is. He's going to move up towards topside. And this is what we're talking about, is like trying to enable Kana by just providing a little bit of pressure.
Yeah.
This wave is now in a really good spot where Kana has frozen, well, nearly had it frozen underneath the tower. That minion went on a little walkie. But it does mean, again, like, you just kind of get to sit in these positions at Kana where it makes it very difficult for BB to be able to interact with the lane. He's even gone for the reset, and I think Kana might have read this now, just going to shove in this wave as quickly as he can.
He does, so it's going to be a quick push. Kana's already used his TP as well, so he hits over to 6, stretch line. Dodge from Kalist. Side step really important there, because look at what's happening on the minimap. G2 sending the invade squad, 6 picked up by Caps, and Skewmont trying to get the Gromp here so he gets half the way there.
Yeah, just trying to use that pressure to trap bot side, but still have to be a little careful, because Vladdy is on the way.
It is a pincer. Vladdy will have his own ult as well. Tango Barb, stretch line, starts into a fight. There's a knock-up. Shield Rand flags away from it. Targamas will not escape. Vladdy jumps into this, but into melee range. That's danger! Caps will fly down. Vladdy will stay in place and buried underneath the weight of G2. Kalist gets poked out, and G2 are thinking about it, but they've already picked up all the gold while top lane has fired it out. Nothing for KC in the early game. It's only G2.
KC flew too close to the sun, and it was blacked out by a Galio as he crashed down in on top of them. G2 picking up 3 kills in these early stages to set them very nicely off at the start.
1500 gold lead. Look at the replay. Exactly. Stretch line from LeBron was nice.
And straight on to Targamas as well. You're able to follow up so easily there. And then when you go here, like, Vladdy tries to get the Nautilus ultimate to set things up, but the fact that you get the auto attack from LeBron keeps him just on the edge of that Galio ult, and just nicely done by G2, like, set up off of the pressure they had on bot. They were set up by that level 2 play by Skewmon. This is kind of G2 setting the pace of the game.
I love something you talked about in draft where you were saying, like, okay, the Silas is nice into the matchup where, you know, he'll be fine, whatever, but into the rest of the comp, the Galio has a lot of value. There's a lot of value from G2 as well and how they've structured this. Running into a Galio here when KC are a lot of dive mid to low to no range. It hurt them in that fight. Dragon's still going to go over, though, with the resets coming in, so that is 1+, but there's a bit of a gold lead brewing between a 2-kill 80 carry, between Skewmond as well, who once again is a farming demon, who also picked up the last kill.
This is where it gets interesting for Void Groups, though, because Vladdy stole Nautilus ult, did not steal Caps ult. So now it's KC who actually have access to, okay, a potential Galio ultimate for something like a Void Grubs fight, which honestly I think G2 kind of want to avoid. So I think you either have to make a pick or a play first, or play for some sort of cross map if you're G2.
Waiting for him to pull it up. G2 are on it first. You raise it because it's only 3 grubs now, and it's really, really important into the game. Yike's also up here as well, but he doesn't have 6 stacked up. Skewmon has a full level lead now in the jungle. Yike needs that assault and battery, but he's not going to have it until now when 2. Maybe all 3 grubs are gone.
Yeah, so good call out of Serx. Just the level 6 not being hit by Yike. Doesn't have the camps in time. You can see now it's too late as KC try to come across to contest on that. So KC just not having their jungler in position and their AD carry a little late on the top lane push means they're just able to pick up the Void Rush.
G2, early game is looking good. Don't worry, I've called them goobs before. Oops. Yeah,
like
Void goobs. Yeah.
Ah.
Great time. Okay, Lebrov, he's getting out of there instead. Cease and desist used. Handsama push to the side. Great damage onto Lebrov. First kill coming up to KC, but under turret, yike, he's dead. Handsama takes care of business while Flashboard Kalist gets the damage and gets out! Somehow 2 kills over to the French ADC.
That looked like the turnaround play from G2, but Kalist perfectly damages Handsama. That was calculated to a T.
I guess so. Replay us up.
Yeah, like Lebrov here steps forward, but Yike in position. Good hook onto the wall, but immediately the double follow-up, and this is why you take that Kai'Sa and the fight. But watch here, as you go underneath the tower, like, it's an auto, and the last pick on the Q finishes him off. That was just really well played by Kalist.
As you said, to a T. 2 kills for both AD carries, Hans on 3, but both AD showing up to the show. G2, that dive, as you said, looks so sketchy. I mean, Yike gets punished for it, but it is really nice to see that KC are willing to throw haymakers back. Nothing up on the map. This time again, Dagger, we talk about objectives all the time. With this small gap between dragons before Herald spawns, like, it's all about plating and what you can draw from these individual lanes.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be fairly chill and just trying to move through your lanes, because when you have both of these essentially Galio ultimates available on your mid lane, it makes it very, very difficult for you to be able to play towards sides, because you could, if you go too deep underneath the tower, suddenly someone else shows up in your lane and you've got this big AoE knock up and a shield. So I think both sides going to be taking it fairly easy, and you're just looking to farm it up.
Rather, Kalist, sorry, he also starts with Siege right line. Sidestep again. Yeah, put up the KC sign. Oh, there's the tongue. That's the classic. Show us Kalist again. He's got his tongue out. I've been following his emote journey, because obviously there's a couple of people in the league, like 113 tells us to take notes, I think. No, or is that Shao? But Kalist is an emote spammer as well.
Yeah.
FF, but where's the tongue? Go on.
No, there's creeps there. He's got to lock in.
Sorry. No, not yet. They'll come later. Kana gonna ulti, broken plate. Counter strike, jumps back in. Ulti for ulti. Kana, he's gonna run out of Meganar soon, but broken plate just pushing him away.
Yeah, I mean, just happy to trade. Like, you've got a nice lead already for Kana off of some of the turret base he's been able to take, which is working out for him, but doesn't really need to try and overextend in this matchup. And as well, like, you've now got Dragon that's in a minute's time, so some vision set up on that top side, but realistically, everyone's going to try and reset now and just set up for that next objective. Lebrov has actually gone for a little bit of a sneaky reset alongside Handsama, so trying to see if they can get into the spot side. Should be able to get some turret plates for himself.
Trying to poke down Kana, but the minion wave is quite thin, so Handsama stays, and Casey's walking in. Skumon waiting though for Targamas. Top Blossom going to come up. Dredgeline pulls him back in. Can Skumon do it alone with a depth charge? I don't think so. It's a cease and desist from Yike. The old G2 jungler keeps him in place, but Cap plays the defensive, puts him in a Battlehouse, and then puts him in his place.
Nice pick off from G2. Kalist walked the entire way from topside to mid lane without resetting, so just didn't really have the damage to try and work through any of the health bars that were there. And KC end up biting off more than they can chew, and now G2 firmly in position, stealing away camps, pushing in bot side, and should be able to fall back over towards this dragon as well.
Caps has been on point with these ultis. I mean, Caps always there. Like, again, I got to bring up the conversation where first 4-5 weeks, even till last week, I was like, man, Caps is not even the best mid in the top 3 for me in a discussion when people like Nuke were playing so well, when I think Chayak was a quarter of his team. Yeah, I know, I brought him in. Flatty as well, you know, like, you're right, Humanoid's playing a lot better as well, like, but he always just finds a way to slip back in. I don't know what it is. Like, you kick him out. You know that meme where you throw Barney Grumble out of the bar, Mo throws him out, and then he appears he's behind him again? Yeah, that's Caps.
I mean, I think the biggest fault that Caps has had has been like constantly getting ganked in mid and dying to them, right? We saw that first gank by Yike didn't go well, and Caps was just on a far tankier mid laner that is much easier to, well, I won't say easier to escape on, but at least is better at surviving some of these early ganks. So I think it's definitely nullified some of that game plan from KC, but also it has been KC doing what KC has been faulted for, which is going in too deep, trying to force plays when they really don't need to, and just biting off more than they can chew. So I think for KC, it's also kind of a bit of a wake-up as...
Skumon jumps into this. Look how strong he is, though. Pop Blossom used. Big tool. What's the timer on that? Because, I mean, 125, we've got Herald spawning, and Targamas without his ult.
Yeah, he should have a backup in time. It's not a 2-minute cooldown,
okay.
But still...
Good to know.
It's more the pressure that G2 are able to use, right? Because you've already got Hansam in a great position where he will constantly just clear these waves mid on this lethality Varus, and it's opened up Labrov to make moves like this where he moves up towards this top side to cover.
Oh, Broken Blade hit. Kana with no ulti up. Walks it back. Labrov here to help out. And it's a leap away from Kana, but he is on the edge of trying to solo kill Broken Blade. It has been nice, you know, both top laners have been like 200 HP perma this game.
They really just want to battle it out, but at the moment it is still Kana getting a lot of these leads and kind of getting this early control. As you said, like Broken Blade will eventually scale into the matchup as he kind of ticks over to like level 13, level 14, has 2 items completed, but for the moment it is not so pretty for him. But I think this is where, again, like Labrov can make the difference, which is like this. You get push on mid, open up for a move up towards the top side, and at the moment it would just be looking for Rift Herald as it's about to spawn, but you're still getting control, vision control, and getting access to River, which is really what G2 are looking for here.
Yikes, sneaking in though. Before we talk about the River, we must talk about what's happening on the land. KC getting support, but Broken Blade walking down, very intelligently done. Herald up in 1 second. And as you said, getting vision towards this is going to be really important. Skumon going to be first on the board. Yike. He's charging up, but look at Broken Blade. He knows his jungler. He knows his old jungler maybe too well. He thinks no way. Bolted into the wall. He's stunned up for days. Dead at the heart of Yike's fist. And now Targamas looking for position. Dagda, as you said, that ulti is back up and available indeed. That pulls G2 off the Herald.
And the pick is perfect. And Yike, great call there to just sit there. And this is, again, what we were talking about. Like, Yike basically hovering in these bushes with Kana to give him this early success and really set him up to be a carry. Now on his Gnar, once again, his Targamas doesn't want to end up on the business end of Skumon's spear anymore, but Skumon trying to move topside to hold on towards this turret, and he has to call for reinforcements from Hansam as well.
Skumon will just reset the wave. I mean, he's going to try and get Kana away from it because the turret's getting pretty low. He'll find a knock up. Labrov coming in, but Targamas is a clone in the way, and Kana's about to go mega. Herald stays there for a little bit longer. You can see that Yike is moving down towards bot.
Yeah, KC just weren't really comfortable to try and go for it.
Yeah.
Kalist now back on mid-wave will be able to clear that out, but you can see Skumon's already starting it up, knowing that he'll be out completely fine. KC end up using a lot to make the pick happen, but without really having control over mid-wave or being able to move into position, G2 have to get the objective.
True. Award, so at least KC know, but you're right. Instead, Yike's going to look for his own lead, steal away some camps around bot. Herald goes down safely. Yike can start this farm up while Kalist looks for pressure on mid, but there is a Varus, and his wave clear is still existent, so...
Yeah, see, KC are trying to play on kind of both sides of the map at the moment. You see Targamas constantly hoping for Kana, as Kana wants to try and get that top lane turret, and looks like he should be able to do that now, but you've also got them going for this invade on bottom side.
It's an engage, but Labrov's out. KC find nothing.
Yeah, but it's the Caps was feeling threatened enough to move off that bot lane turret. Ended up clearing out just the, or didn't actually clear out the Krugs on the bottom side, but just sat there because he didn't want to be visible, trying to spot out exactly what KC are up to. But it is a little difficult when Targamas on top side to make it play bot, but they do get that tower top.
Broken Blade needs a counter strike, but look at the damage coming through. Flash Kana just goes over the enemy jungle. Boomerang though doesn't connect. Broken Blade has a way back in. Now with his own counter strike, Skumon makes the difference and gives the kill over to BB.
The boomerang just barely missing there means that Kana can't get the kill, but still, nice job by Skumon to cover his top laner after that turret had gone down. Kana just trying so desperately to get the kill, but it doesn't work out.
Might open things up top, Dagda. You're talking about all these, you know, what Caps can do in a side lane. As Dragon goes down and makes it 2 for KC, Caps is going to get some time in the sun with top lane turret. Mid even as well, there's a push. Should be coming through, so... Looks like KC getting little scraps here. But again, Skumon. I mean, Skumon's just always ahead. Any game. Individually, this guy always has a lead, I feel.
Yeah, he's just very, very efficient how he clears the jungle. Makes him very difficult to control. And even here, G2, efficient on the map, right? Hansama moves towards mid to clear out that wave of Labrov. Skumon has already moved topside, so you don't even have to use the Herald now to secure this top lane turret, while KC have to defend that mid lane turret as well. So G2 just kind of putting pressure on the people, but KC silently picking up the dragons. You know, 2 dragons now to their name. When you get to these team fights, like extra mountain dragons on people like Kana, like Vlad, even Yike to a certain extent as well, going to be very valuable. Especially you talked about like KC very much want to land that big punch at the start of the fight. And if they can survive the clapback by G2 through these mountain dragons, it will help them out.
It's like one of the most important games to see a mountain dragon. Now, Caps will surely be wanting some of his own because there's going to be a big nah. It's going to be a big buy. Everyone's just big, you know. I'm sorry, I looked at the baguette graphic before. I just was very distracted as Dagda 50 seconds or less or more. Sometimes brain no good. There's going to be a ward placed down. A blast going to be taken out. It's 45 until Atakan. That's what I was trying to tell you all at home.
But again, like I just love how G2 are moving around the map. It's clear mid, put pressure somewhere. So it's clear mid now, then move into the spot side jungle. And it's just netting that push now from Broken Blade to keep Kana pushed into his side of the map. So now G2 start to rotate across the mid, and because they've got that Rift Herald, KC have to be so cautious of that Rift Herald suddenly being plonked down and try and make a mid lane play. So it's causing KC some discomfort here.
Pick, maybe. Kalist getting dove on by Caps, takes no damage yet. Abscond of Duck doesn't connect, and Hunsummer does. Tanglebarbs are there, but look, Lebrov is keeping him out of the fight while Kalist gets jumped on. Counter-strike through and through is Yike. He's going to Vault Breaker away. Mid now might be opened. It's good damage from G2 to chunk KC.
The fact that Kalist has to go back to base means they should be able to get this without much pressure back from KC. You see, Kana wanted to try and go for the tier 1 on bottom side, but with Caps and Broken Blade having those teleports available, you know he can't really go for it. So still, Rift Herald available for G2, and this time it could be used on towards something like a tier 2 tower, as Atakan is up and available as well.
You're right, that Atakan probably going to be the next thought here. I mean, 2.5 minutes till the Dragon. Kana finally getting a turret of his own. Make it a second one, actually. He's picked up top before. 1,500 gold. We're just going to come down to a fight, aren't we? Kalist might be caught out, maybe ignore that. The pick, the flash, and Kalist over a Blasco knocked up before he can escape. Skumon, again, the Xin Zhao is running the map.
Kalist overextended mid and didn't have the support. Again, Targamas playing down towards Kana, Yike playing down towards Kana to secure that tower, and he just steps up that bit too far. Good ward in the middle lane as well from G2 to spot that out. But now with the pick, it's going to be Atakan for G2.
Young Star not up for another 20 seconds. Atakan seems so likely here. Teleport from Caps in. Yike is too far away.
And this feels like G2 saying, we are bouncing back from that winter finals. We are bouncing back from what has been a not great time, to be perfectly honest, at the start of spring. This has been a matchup that has kind of held that rivalry from them coming over from the last bit. The first time KC was actually able to pick up wins.
Yike followed over the wall, though. That blast cone taken before. It's no longer there. Depth charge. Yike has to go back in. He'll cease and desist. He cues over the wall. It's inventive, but it's so invasive. It's the next turret won't be taken. Broken Blade's going on a journey.
He's going to the tier 2. Topside.
In a turret. Innovation is key. And Broken Blade's actually just going to one-shot the turret. So, beautiful play from G2, especially from this guy.
Hey, it worked.
Oh, fist bump. Yo, press you. G2. He pressed you, but no one's fist bumping him. Hello.
It's fine. He's fine. He just needs to get the emotes back because he was the original take notes.
He was. But if you press you, Dagda, and no one fist bumps you, like
it's like if a tree fell in the woods. It's like, does it really?
Oh yeah. Except that tree is your heart.
Oh.
And I'll know, you know. I'll know. Broken Blade still. Smart play. Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds though, Dagda. I feel like this is a real meat grinder after Atakan's been taken off the map, as you said before.
But apart from Skumon's flash being down, there's nothing on G2 that is really a problem.
Yeah.
But when you look across at KC, it's like Vladdy's flash down, Kalist flash down, Yike flash down, and now how do you try and buy this space back getting in towards the Dragon Pit as well? Like, G2 have played this map fantastically and just put a bunch of really tough questions onto KC's side and gone, how are you going to respond? And unfortunately, KC just haven't really had a chance to respond in the manner that they'd like to.
Trying to pick up waves opposite side of the map. Yike's trying to do the same in jungle camp. But Dragon's going to go down in G2. That 3k gold lead still holds. Like, it has still been there early again. There's been a couple of picks by KC, but as you said, G2 are really making a statement here. They did so yesterday, and It feels like this is not the G2 we saw in Madrid. Maybe Paris G2 is completely different as Targamas caught out. And again, I have to say, he's poked down. Skumon is not scared to take the engage.
No, he's just everywhere. Like, the second anyone on KC walks halfway up mid lane, he's like, you're dead. Just, I'm going to kill you.
On a ward, he does it again. Blighty was on a ward. He's blue smoke down, and he's just going to be slowed down as well. A Crescent Guard to send out. Skumon, audacious charge, get a knock up there, but Yike can't do a thing. KC and getting picked off this game. It's becoming very iconic.
Skumon having a statement game here against KC. Kind of putting into Yike's face, saying, all right, yeah, you had the good game yesterday, but
you girlfriend.
Here's what you really do.
The old one's ugly. Yikes, the old girlfriend. That's what G2 is saying. I try to do it like a mean girl's voice, you know? Like I'm Lindsay Lohan. I don't
it
really
works with the Australian accent. I mean, again, here, Skumon, just great. And it's, again, just like constantly playing as mid lane as this pivot point. They just constantly launch attacks off of it. It's been great. Gets the pick on Targamas, and as you said, then Blighty doesn't even realize.
He's doing it again. He's doing it again. We come back live, and he's doing it again. Yike is found once more. Skumon, 5-0 on 5, almost 100% KP. Yo, MVP for game one goes to him.
But it's also, why are KC in that position? Because at this stage, like, Baron is up in 10 seconds, so there's not much on the bottom side of the map. You are pushing in towards River, and unless you were just like, hey, we're going to give up Baron or give up control around Baron, it feels like very much an overextension, because G2 constantly control these jungle sides, and KC just get caught out of it.
Knowledge going to be used to take the turret swiftly. Minion wave saved as well. Skumon using the health bar. Another bullet bitten, and KC 5.5k gold down. It is getting better and better for G2. Worse and worse for the KC fans in the arena. Caps, is he caught out is the big question. Shielded Duran going to be used to entice Kalist in, but Skumon sits there. Targamas can't go in.
My heart skips a beat every time that Wind Becomes Lightning connects, because I'm like, there's so much damage on this Sin Zed right now. I'm like, is he just going to send it? But no, it will just be Caps backing off. Mid lane tower defended successfully here by G2, but again, I think it's just kind of like G2 waiting for these next completed items to come through, so then they can really set up for the next big fight, because things are starting to turn now for Broken Blade. He has 2 items now completed, working up towards his Zonya's Hourglass. If he can get on towards Kana, I think he should be able to win out in the matchup, but or if Kana ends up overextending. But even then, it's just, you know, Caps constantly being able to follow up on those plays. Hansam again controlling his push in mid. It's just getting access to the map is so difficult for KC.
Like Kana pushing inside is their best chance right now, as he's shown, putting pressure on, so Broken Blade has to match. As teleport available, Kana has an individual lead, both in gold and experience. Right now, if they need that Korean to carry, it better come through, as Dagda, you might get your answer. He's going to go into Meganar. Does he think he wins the 1v1?
Kalist is here, though.
He is indeed. It's not going to be a true 1v1, is it? Meganar into the wall. Kalist flies in, and Broken Blade will flash in, but 2v1 just ain't fair. A counter-strike through. Kalist gets jumped on, cleansed immediately. Broken Blade takes a 1-for-1 and a 2v1. Never mind the champion matchup. You call it skill. The top father has set this up so that G2 can fly with the rest of the map. Targamas on a hair's breadth will also sink instead of swimming. And KC must onlook as G2 make them their father again.
G2 pulled off the Baron, though. They're looking to see if they can try and take the fight. A little nervous as Caps going for the flank.
Going to find melee range, so this engage would be good, but Caps can press W, flash away from Yike. He wants the Vault Breaker, but to where? Engage from Skumon. Blighty has the ulti, but he has to escape too. Listen, Targamas up soon, Dagda, but Baron still sits there. G2 still getting gold.
KC made a hero play yesterday when they were down numbers, but they were also up a significant margin in gold, and that is not going to be the case here against G2. 4,500 gold as we press the 28-minute mark. And
oi, TP against the wall. Kana comes in. What a pick. As you said, they needed something. Skumon pulls off the ulti, but he needs time from Cap. The engage good. Skumon surviving for now, but they can't kill him. Kana goes into mini, and it hurts his chances. Kalist now coming back in. Fresh off the respawn. Broken Blade tanky enough. Frontlining. KC, though, just can't find the final kill. Kalist might guide back, but now that Hans is here, range is an issue, and KC bites it again.
KC wanted it so badly, but G2 refuse to crumble against KC as the Baron will be their prize.
It's so close, but KC walking in. G2. This team continuously runs our region, and we're getting a full head-on grasp in game one as to why that is. KC over to the Dragon to take Soul, but for the Baron, we have to see if KC can hold on long enough to move to that Soul.
Revenge feeling like a dish best served in your opponent's home.
Oh.
But it was a great engage. Like, it was a good idea, a great pick, but the damage just isn't there. Vladdy has to flash away because of Broken Blade coming in to help out. Skumon not getting hit by the heroic entrance either, and KC then, they're just running for the hills. They needed that to work, and it just wasn't quite enough.
Caps is a nuisance. Broken Blade is tanky now too. He's got Seekers. Zonya's coming next. 3.5k plus gold lead for Skumond. And Dagda, you know the reason he survived, not only just the Sterix Gauge, but the Sunder Sky. He hit 3-4 targets in that fight. The healing is still so stupid on that item. 7k gold lead, and G2 now with the Red Bull Baron power play are trying to run this into the base and break it apart.
I mean, let's be real. He's also 2 levels above KC's mid laner and 3 levels above Young.
Oh.
That is also going to be pretty impactful.
Health gives you levels. Levels give you health. That's what I meant. Yeah.
But also, like, his third auto attack is healing him because of his passive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, there's just a lot of healing in that Zinza's kit as well. So, yeah. And, like, Skumond has had an absolute stormer of a game and now just gets to ride that across the victory line.
And G2, it's soon going to become hard for the fans that live over this first game as with the Baron, they've been able to broken up the bottom part of the map, Dagda. I will say though, Baron, 500 gold lead. And that's all they've gotten from it so far, despite opening the base.
Yeah, I think the fact that KC ended up going for the Dragon after as well helped because they're now on 3 Dragons.
Yeah.
So they traded that for us as Kana. Just needs to be a little careful, but...
He dodged that. See, he's got Mega Dagda. He was thinking, maybe I go sneaky and I can find an angle on that.
Yeah, I think the problem for KC is I just don't know when this, like, game breaks in their favor, right? It still feels like Broken Blade scales into a really, really good spot and it's kind of gotten to that stage. Caps just gets a lot of value as well on towards the Galio with the amount of CC he can bring to a fight. And Vladdy is getting to a point where he has a lot of cooldown in his kit and can try and take these fights, but again, it's the kind of jumping into G2 with the amount of CC for melee champions that they have just makes it very difficult for this Sylas to try and find value, and same honestly with Kalist.
Problem when Sylas falls behind as well. I mean, that champion loves a good snowball. He's like Nunu's second cousin. 2.5 items deep now. That utility needs to come in clutch. Kana with a Mega Narbar as well, watching his flank. How he pulls this off, G2, as they threaten in. Dredgeline fails, Kana, Mega Nar. It's deep from Broken Blade. He's got a Sonya, so he can do that. Mega Nar only onto one. Kana finds a pick, and it's enough. But Caps are going to send himself in. No knockup gathered. KC, look, approach, flush away from Skumon. Kalist has an angle. Shielded around does nothing. Vladdy still with his own ult. Yike is going to pivot, jumps in, but the Sonya's good from Caps. Vault Breaker in. The reuse ulti. The send down was good. And a shutdown over to Vladdy, Dagda. Your questions are getting answered.
They played it so patiently. Kana doesn't overcommit for that big ultimate because it would have just given Caps that counter punch that he needed. Instead, sits back on the edge. KC barely played a hand's reach, and it works out great. You see here, Kana, like, he can flash. Doesn't have flash available. Could have gone for this big engage, but instead just looks for Targamas. No one overcommits. Everyone stays out of that ult range from Caps, and once that is down, then they really become a big threat. And even here, Yike just waiting for that taunt to go away before he commits with the ultimate. And Caps goes golden, but it's just not enough. And you can see there, the call from G2 is, look, everyone get out. I'll go down.
Yep.
Just make it to the lifeboats.
Bit of gold back. And after a Baron, after the base attacked, it's only a 4.5k gold lead. Still within KC's reach. And what I can tell you is that KC are kind of showing why they're in this upper echelon, why they're in this top 2, why, you know, even though, yes, G2 aren't in the top 2 of the standings, that conversation still has to be there around them. This is the matchup we've been waiting for the whole split. Already is game 1, but it's bloody well delivering with 30 seconds left on Dragon.
Yeah, KC still want to try and fight, but as you say, 30 seconds is a potential soul for KC, but look at where Caps is. That tower is very low on the top side of the map. G2 basically trying to push KC out of the hole that they've dug in around this dragon.
Skewmon dizzy caught. Yike jumps in. A fight begins. Vault Breaker consists. Pop Blossom hits everyone. Hit his backline. Target was found, but Caps has to use the ult defensively. Meanwhile, a poke for poker, hit for hit. G2 re-engaged. They're winning the fight with Caps, forcing double flash. Kana, counter-stroke as well as Skewmon. And Yike battling it out. New girlfriend versus old. I think the new one is way prettier as Caps will find the kill. Kana down in the sand. And along with Yike, KC have just been reprimanded.
Kalist got put in the ground in that fight. The Brav with the flash hook, the snipe from Hansama, and G2 will find the win that they needed over KC.
One more Nexus Tara. Vladdy can't do it himself. Golden is broken blade. The minion wave is far away though. Vladdy's going to burn the ulti, but a new one's coming in. G2 versus KC, our grand final rematch is going nothing like it did in winter. G2 are definitely back, and they've drawn their line in Paris as the crowd has gone quiet.
G2 came to play. What an exceptional game from multiple members on G2.
Yeah.
Skewmon, fantastic. Caps with the counter pick Galio, dictating how KC get to play fights. But also in that last fight, just a flash hook from LeBron was insane.
It really was. Stepping up big, G2 with a game 1 win, but it is our last match in Paris, and we're hoping more from KC as we go to a short break.